Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the Rockwood CP10HD top offset pivot. Try to give you a look at it without my fingers being in the way too much. So first, you probably, well, what I'm noticing first is just how massive the two members are. They're ½ inch thick. They're giant. They're huge. They're heavy. This top pivot assembly alone, with its bag of wood screws for attaching to the header and to the top of the door, weighs 1.8 pounds of solid brass. Well, not all of it's brass, but the material itself is brass. That pin won't be brass here, but I'll show that to you in a moment. The pivot that we're looking at, again, is a top pivot. Okay. Shown to you here in what would be a right-hand configuration. Okay. Very nice quality fit and finish on this, and that's going to be synonymous with all things Rockwood. In my opinion, Rockwood's got exceptional fit and finish on their products. So back to the matter at hand. This is a top pivot. This is going to be used with your CP10HD bottom pivot. There are people that have even installed these in sets, top and bottom sort of situations, which, people have installed this principle in that way. You wouldn't, I wouldn't consider using this for that sort of application. Any door you're going to hang on a pivot like this is, this is over-engineered for probably lighter duty doors. Although there are situations where a client needs to hang something and doesn't have a floor actually to get it to, has casework at the bottom, and is, I think you'd be able to do it at that point. Although, definitely going to need to discuss that before you go about doing it, and the reason is, and the reasoning is because this top pivot is really not engineered to bear that sort of weight. So we'll probably want to discuss that at length before you try to hang something really heavy off of this. But people have done it. I've seen it out in the wild plenty of times, and I've sold this sort of principle for that application, so that I know that it works. But weight-wise, these are not engineered to carry a load like that. Anyway, having given that disclaimer, let's move on. So we've established it's substantial. We've established that it's nice fit and finish. It's non-handed, can be reversed in the field, and I'll show that to you in a moment. Shown to you here in the satin chrome finish, 626 satin chrome, and it is available in different finishes in the site. You are required to select a hand and a finish. We do need to know the door thickness. That's very important for us to know, so that we can arrange the proper math from the center line of the pivot to the face of the door. Okay, and then the rest of the assembly to the back. This is a 3/4 inch offset pivot, and that specifically means that the face of the door, we'll do it here, the face of the door is, let's say, the front of my hand. From the front of my hand being the face of the door to the vertical axis of pivoting is 3/4 inch. That's what makes this a 3/4 inch offset pivot. Below this video is an image showing, like an architectural image, top, front, and right side views. Okay, and again, this is a right-hand pivot. You're on the pull side of the door when you're viewing this video. So to you, it looks like a left-hand reverse. To me, it looks like a right hand. Again, ½ inch thick material. I'm going to separate these pieces now and show you the different constituent parts, and then we'll measure these pieces itself. Very tight tolerance on pulling that together. Pulling this apart. Okay, so those pieces separate. The top and bottom are not identical, and I'll show that to you in a minute. Teflon washer, going to make for smooth operation. They're not identical in that one side is going to have that set screw in it that's going to hold the spindle pin. That can be removed with an Allen wrench, obviously. The principle at this point is simply like you would have on a security pin sort of hinge, where there's a groove cut in the post. That set screw has a point on it, and it's going to seat itself into that V groove that's there. Okay. Also, it's important to know this, because if I'm going to install this, this is going to be the top of the door, the top rail of the door. This is going to be the portion mortised to the door. Let's do it this way so you can see it. Okay, this will be mortised in. Your header portion is also going to be mortised in. Everything's attached to the door and frame. Once you're ready to install, you're going to get, you know, into the opening, rest it on the bottom pivot, tip it in, and you're going to just simply take your pin and drive that up through both pieces. You know, just imagine that this is up here and you've driven it through both pieces. Don't forget to put your washer on, of course. Okay. Then you'll tighten your set screw down, and then you're good to go. And you'll probably never have to visit that opening again, because these pivots are fantastic. Really nice. Not only machined exceptionally well, but so pleasing, aesthetically pleasing to look at. Very good margin. I mean, the margin on that pivot's the same here as it is all the way over here visually. Not that you're going to see that so much when the door is closed, but you'll see the margin between the header and the top of the door. And having a nice quality pivot's going to make for a nice installation. Again, is reversible. You can take that and flip it over should you want to do that. And then, you know, you're going to take this portion, remove your spindle pin, take this portion, move it on top. Your spindle pin comes from the bottom, if you're going to want that set screw to be on the bottom of both of your installations, or, you know, whatever, a pair of doors you'll want to make sure. But the Rockwood is going to ship these to you already handed out of the box, you know, the hand that you specify. There is a link below this video to the product brochure, which shows this and its sister related products. Okay, so there's plenty there to look at. And again, just good quality fit and finish. Now, I've machined for these lots. I've field installed these lots, replaced these a lot. So the machining for this is quite simple. Really, the most important aspect is, well, let's start easy. So you're basically going to create in the header and in the top of your door a rectangular mortise such that this is flush with the top of the door or flush with the header. Okay. You're going to need to breach the face of the door to let the arm part of the spindle come out, and obviously the header of the frame. It'll have to be mortised so that it projects out. And the hard part, or the most complicated part, is you've got to make sure that the axis of the top pivot and the axis of the bottom pivot are straight. They're plumb. You know, you've marked it off with a plumb bob, and once you've got that point, your door, you know, you want your door to obviously hang plumb, but you don't want it to be tipped in or tipped out, because that door could creep open, could creep closed. You've got to have that nailed, you know, in terms of, you know, use a plumb bob is the bottom line. Locate that pivot point. You know, you can get it set, mortise to the head. What I've done is I've mortised it to the head, and I've dropped my plumb bob right down through this. You know, and I've made it so I was centered to this. You know, just using a little bushing that I had and a way to tie it off. And I drop it all the way down, just so that it touched, got it to stop moving, pull it up a little bit, let it stop moving, and mark the bottom. And that's going to be where the center line of my bottom pivot's going to be. And you'd be able to mark off your base plate at that point. Obviously, this is only the top pivot portion, but there are full sets that are in the website as well, where you can review me blabbing on about more of that, all of that. Good quality material. Rockwood, these are certainly going to be made to order every single time. Well worth the wait. Allow a month, 3 or 4 weeks for this material to ship. But again, well worth the wait. And if you have any questions on the Rockwood CP10HD top pivot or any other Rockwood product, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you.